Welcome back to Self Love. Hope everybody's doing okay. So, what I want to talk about today is about fear. Fear is one of those things that can cripple you. Some of the fears, the things we fear, are real, some are imaginary, some we can actually do something about, and the others we can do absolutely nothing about it. We either accept it and deal with it, or that's just how it is. When I just came to the US, the very next day I was watching TV, and to my horror, during the news, they reported so many cases where people were killed. And one of those that stuck with me was a lady who was sitting in the park and somebody just shot her. For the next couple of days, as I was watching TV, I just kept hearing stories of people being killed. I was afraid. I had lived in Korea before I got here for like 9 years, and you don't just hear that people have guns with them and they just shoot people. So for me, that was like a rude awakening, and I was wondering, like, oh my gosh, where have I come to? What is happening? How do I live here? How do people live here knowing that people have guns and they can easily kill you? So I developed fear. I was so afraid. I couldn't even get out of the door because I just felt like it would just be my luck that I stand out there and somebody shoots me. My friend tried to encourage me, talk to me to get out there. It's like, you will die in here. At some point, you have to go out. And I just told myself, no, I'm just going to sit here. I'm not going nowhere. But eventually, one day I went out and it was okay. And then the next day and the next day. By the time I met people from my country, people from other African countries, and I realized that they were living okay, it made me feel like, okay, I can do it too. People have not stopped carrying guns in the US. People have not stopped killing people with guns. But nothing has changed from the day I came here till today. But I don't get out today just thinking like somebody's going to shoot me out there. I have changed the way I think about that. I don't feed myself again with information about killing people. Sometimes some of the fear we develop is from what we have been feeding our minds, what we have been listening to. What is it that you have been listening to that is causing you to be afraid? The first thing to do is stop listening to whatever is making you afraid, and then get more information about what you are afraid of. You eventually realize that either there is nothing you can do about it. I cannot do anything about people having guns, but I can change my mind about not thinking about it. Uh, Sometimes other things that can happen that can change the way we are afraid of things is the result of what we are looking for. For example, I was afraid of driving. When I just got here, it's a different country. I didn't really know the rules. I was intimidated, so I didn't want to drive. My friend had two cars, and it was okay for me to drive the other one, but I just did not see myself driving. So I told her thanks, but I'd rather take a taxi. So the first day I called a taxi and told them where I was going to, the lady told me it was going to be about $30 to get to where I was going to. And so I thought about it. If I have to pay $30 to go, $30 to come back, that's $60. That's expensive. Trust me, immediately the fear of driving flew out of the window. I picked those keys and got in the car as if I've been doing it forever in the US. So that fear left because of the alternative. The alternative of taking a taxi caused my fear of driving to become insignificant. So probably sometimes you may want to like compare what you are afraid of or the alternative of what you are afraid of. The word of God tells us that God has not given us the spirit of fear. So fear is not from God. Fear is either from us or from the situations that we find ourselves in. Some people are afraid of heights, some people are afraid of spiders. I am scared of snakes. Don't bring a snake around me, I'll freak out. You know, some of those fears are real, because if you actually step on a snake, it may bite you and you may die from that. So we should be conscious of what we are afraid of, and then avoid those situations or those things that can make us afraid. If you're afraid of flying, I don't know what else to tell you about that. If you have to fly, you have to look for a way to get in that plane and fly. You know, if you're afraid of heights, I'm afraid of heights. I don't go anywhere near where I can see like the height of a place where I am scared of falling and dying or something. So I don't go close to heights. We are told in Proverbs that the fear of God is the beginning of wisdom. So actually, fearing God, reverential fear, causes us to have wisdom. So God gives us wisdom when we fear Him. So the wisdom of God will help us overcome some of those fears, those that are real and those that are not real. There is always a way out of whatever we are going through, of the things we are afraid of, whether they are real or not. I have come to realize that having God at, as the center of my being helps me deal with even the most frightful things that may come my way. You know, with the era of COVID, the it's very possible to, you know, develop fear and phobia about being around people or touching things or whatever. But just the feeling that, you know, I can do only the best I can do, but ultimately God is the one protecting me, helps me deal with it a little better. There are things like accidents. You can have an accident, some not from your own fault, but somebody who is a bad driver can hit you, a drunk driver. Anything can happen. There are so many things that we can be afraid of, but I find security in believing that God is on my side, and as long as He is on my side, everything is going to be okay. And just knowing that He has a destiny, a plan for me that ultimately I will fulfill. So that makes me feel like whatever else is out there that I can be afraid of, God can turn it for my good. His word says all things work together for good to those that love Him and to those who are called according to His purpose. So if I know that I have been called by God to fulfill a certain purpose in this life, irrespective of what happens, COVID or no COVID, guns or no guns, I am going to fulfill my destiny. I don't know where your security is in, but I hope it is in God, because He is the only one that gives me security. I hope He gives you security too. Well, that's all I have for this evening. Please subscribe to my channel so that we can spend more time together. And then while you're at it, like or dislike, comment or share. God bless us all. Bye.